Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Gwen Jacobsen, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 17, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at NACTV at wcgwave.ca. This week's edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press is dated Friday, September 13th, 2024. On the front page, we have a picture of some fellas fixing potholes. Go figure. The town of Neepawa has moved ahead recently on some temporary repairs to a portion of Hamilton Street. That block, along with the section of Mill Street, had been planned for a full restoration this fall. A recent announcement by the province, however, related to fixing 18th Street in Brandon could have an impact on Neepawa's road repair schedule. So it says, the title here is Brandon's Road Rebuild Puts Neepawa Plans in Peril by the Banner staff. The massive resurfacing project recently announced for Brandon is going to negatively impact some of Neepawa's planned road repairs. In a September 3rd media release, the province of Manitoba announced it was investing $9.7 million to resurface 18th Street in Brandon. Premier Wab Kinew said the project will reconstruct 18th Street, or Provincial Trunk Highway 10, from Aberdeen Avenue to Rosser Avenue, and includes milling the existing pavement surface to mitigate deep potholes and replacing it with 2 layers of new bituminous pavement. What the announcement did not say is that one massive project would shove other projects, such as rebuilding 2 blocks of streets in Neepawa, off the calendar for this year. Back in May, Neepawa had announced a relocation of funding from its 2024 budget that would go directly towards a planned rebuild on a block of Hamilton Street between Brown and First, as well as Mill Street between Mountain and First. The hope was that the town would be able to secure the services of a company to do this work before the winter. With the announcement of this much larger project in Brandon, however, Neepawa CAO Colleen Sensation said the commitment to our road improvements cannot be assured. She said, when we heard about the Brandon 18th Street project, we contacted the paving company, and there was no way they could guarantee they could come and do our projects. It was discussed that Neepawa could rip up those streets so they could be redone, but if they didn't come this fall, those streets would be open to rain, snow, and erosion until next year. In the past, paving companies have tended to add on smaller community projects at the tail end of the season and often get caught trying to lay pavement when it's too cold to do so. The last major downtown project was Davidson Street, in front of the Kinsman Courts 2 Assisted Living Center, and it was over a year before that block got paved. So that's too bad. Now we have a Fuel Good Day coming up on September 17th. So visit a Neepawa Gladstone Co-op gas bar and help raise funds for Habitat for Humanity, for the Neepawa chapter in Gladstone area senior support also. It says 10 cents per liter and $1 from every cooperative coffee and Big Cool sold this day will be donated. So that's the co-op in Neepawa and also in the town of Gladstone. All right, the 5th annual Walk With Us campaign this Sunday. Funds raised set to benefit the Touchwood Park Association by Casper Werhan. A local initiative is returning for its 5th year this weekend. On September 15th at 3 p.m., the Walk With Us campaign is welcoming all interested to join them at the Langford Walking Trails for a walk and barbecue. This event has been organized each year by the Cox family after Will and Brandy's son Logan was born and diagnosed with Down syndrome, a developmental disability caused by an extra chromosome 5 years ago. So he's 5 years old now. Traditionally, the walk had been held to raise funds for the Manitoba Down Syndrome Society, or MDSS. This year, however, the funds will directly support the community by donations to Neepawa's Touchwood Park Association. Touchwood Park provides a variety of services for individuals with developmental disabilities. My husband and I talked, and we thought that this year we would do something different and that we would keep it local, said Brandy. Seeing that someday our son Logan would probably be a resident of Touchwood, that's why we took that route, and we feel it's a good way to give back to the community. Brandy noted that funds collected will benefit the new accessible playground located at 445 Commerce and spearheaded by Touchwood Park. The Walk With Us campaign has been well attended and supported over the years. Despite a rainy forecast last year, the 2023 edition was no exception. A total of over 50 participants donned their walking shoes and raincoats, helping to raise $2,775 for the MDSS. It was a good turnout, and we were happy with the funds raised. I feel too, with the Recreation Committee doing the barbecue, that's a nice touch to it, said Brandy. We're hoping, as in previous years, that it's a good turnout and good weather for the event this weekend. Donations for this year's event can be given directly to Touchwood Park via e-transfer to payables at touchwoodpark.ca using the password LOGAN, LOGAN. Donors using this method are asked to include their mailing address and to note the designation of the playground in the Commons section in order for a charitable donation receipt to be mailed. Charitable donation receipts can be sent by Touchwood for donations of $10 or more. A donation jar will also be at the walk itself on September 15th. All interested in attending to participate may find the Langford Walking Trails 6 miles east of Neepawa on Highway 16 and 3 miles south on Road number 81 at the White Mud Watershed Wildlife Management Area. Brandy said it's a good cause. The forecast looks like a beautiful day for a walk and barbecue after, so you can't beat that. Neepawa Waiting to See the Light by Owen Devereaux. Neepawa's brand new LED streetlights are quite a sight to behold, but during the daytime. At night, however, they are not quite what they need to be, in that they need to be streetlights that actually light the street. A recent edition of the Banner and Press reported on the arrival of a dozen brand new light-emitting diode LED street posts, which have been installed by Manitoba Hydro. August 30th, new LED streetlights installed in Neepawa. These new light standards were replacing posts and underground cables in the area that actually date back to 1985 and are located along the 200 block of Hamilton Street and a small portion of 400 block of Mountain Avenue. But while all the physical portions of these upgrades are currently in place, all the connections to make the lights work remained incomplete. The responsibility for the full and complete installation of these lights, which includes connections, is Manitoba Hydro's obligation. The Banner and Press contacted representatives with Hydro to find out when this work could be finished, and they have noted that the lights will be on starting September 20th. So this is just a picture of the area that remains dark this week. Now we have a new dentist in Neepawa. Mountain Dental would like to welcome Dr. Morgan Graham. This is a picture of her right here. I'll just open it up. Dr. Morgan Graham, DMD. Morgan grew up in Neepawa and attended high school at NACI. While attending high school, she worked with us as a chairside assistant on weekends. She went on to further her education at U of M and attained her Doctor of Dental Medicine. We are so happy to have you back on our team. Now, at the Roxy Theatre this weekend, September 13th and 14th, the featured movie is called Borderlands. Based on the best-selling video game, this all-star action adventure follows a ragtag team of misfits on a mission to save a missing girl who holds the key to unimaginable power. Rated PG. Starts at 7:30. And for next weekend, September 20th and 21st at 7:30, the featured movie is called Happy for You. I'll come back to this page later. So, out of Helen's Kitchen, Helen Drysdale. This week it's called Garden Tomatoes. Of course, this is the time of year that the tomatoes are getting ripe. A bounty of fresh tomatoes always leads to questions about ways to use them. Hopefully this helps you. This method is so simple to skin tomatoes for various recipes. Bring a large pot of water to boil. Working in batches, drop the tomatoes in one at a time. Then let sit in the boiling water until the skins split open. It's only 30 to 60 seconds. One at a time, remove tomatoes from hot water with a slotted spoon and transfer to the bowl of cold water. When cool enough to touch, slip off and discard the tomato skins and remove the hard stem end and core. Trim away any bad spots, and voila, it's just that easy. When I get too busy to deal with ripe tomatoes, I like to freeze them whole. It is the easiest way to keep ripe tomatoes until you're ready to use them. You don't have to peel them first. When ready to use, place in a bowl of hot water and the skins just pop off. Swap out the basil and oregano for cumin and chili if you prefer Mexican food, or coriander and garam masala blend for Indian food. And she goes on to have two recipes, one for freezer tomato sauce and one for chili sauce. All right, RCMP report for August by Sergeant David Taggart of the Spruce Plains RCMP. In the month of August, the Spruce Plains RCMP had 397 occurrences. This month, we laid 143 traffic-related tickets. We found 3 people to be impaired by alcohol, 4 to be impaired by drugs, and they received administrative driving suspensions. There was 14 collisions in the area. Most collisions are caused by distracted drivers. We investigated 6 weapon-related offenses, 28 reports of persons failing to comply with court orders, 42 provincial statutes, 12 harassment-related offenses, 8 assaults, 15 thefts, 9 fraud-related offenses, 10 vandalism, 7 break-and-enters, and many other complaints. We had a report of voyeurism where a cell phone was left recording in a public washroom. The suspect was identified, arrested, and charged. For Speeder of the Month, a 35-year-old driver from Alberta was going 175 kilometers an hour on Highway 16 in the municipality of Westlake Gladstone. at that speed of 75 over the legal limit will net you a fine of $1,032. I bet that wasn't worth it. And lastly, anti-fraud tip. It's about something that's called mystery shopper. You receive a notice that you have been selected to be a mystery shopper, quality control officer, a client service strategist, or a personal assistant. The notice includes a check and some instructions. The scammer asks you to deposit the money into your personal bank account and to transfer a large part of the money into a specific bank account. So be wary of that. Now here's an old picture from the Beautiful Plains Museum history. This place is located on 483 2nd Avenue in Neepawa. This home, which was formerly located at 483 2nd Avenue in Neepawa, was once lived in by John and Margaret Wemyss. John and Margaret were the paternal grandparents of Margaret Lawrence. Mrs. Wemyss was the daughter of Dr. David H. Harrison, who owned the first private bank in Neepawa. Harrison had also served as Premier of Manitoba from December 1887 to January 1888. Margaret Lawrence and her parents lived in this home with Mrs. Wemyss Sr. for a short while in the 1930s. The period of Lawrence's life spent in this home was reflected on within her novel, A Bird in the House. The original construction was of red brick, but there is not a photo date listed for this particular picture. All right, celebrating National Legion Week in Neepawa, submitted by the Neepawa Legion. National Legion Week, Sunday, September 15th to Saturday, September 21st, is an annual event that celebrates and promotes the work of the Royal Canadian Legion. The Legion is a non-profit organization dedicated to supporting veterans, their families, and promoting remembrance of those who served in the Canadian Armed Forces. In the period of time between the two world wars, there was talk of establishing a legion in Neepawa. However, it was not until after World War II that the community took action. There was a need to assist returning personnel back into society, particularly with housing. Many of the buildings from the airport were utilized at that time. The actual building where it stands today was completed in 1949. Over the years, the building has undergone numerous renovations, improving facilities for both community and Legion events. The Legion building serves as a venue for various events, fostering community engagement and support. For a more detailed history, see Neepawa Land of Opportunity, 1883 to 1993, page 99, and The Beautiful Plains Story, 1983 to 2008, page 69. The Neepawa Legion has supported many local initiatives, including donating space for local groups, Horticultural Society, Play School, Nursery School, and the Neepawa Area Health Auxiliary. They have also contributed to Victoria Quilts, Fine Arts Festival, Kids Sport, Manitoba World War I Museum, Town of Neepawa, Salvation Army, the local bird sanctuary, Chamber of Commerce, Neepawa Palliative Care, Eden Park, and local schools. The Ladies Legion Auxiliary is a group of dedicated women who meet 10 times a year. They support the community in preparing banquets to raise funds for various organizations. They also support post-secondary education with 2 scholarships of $1,200 given to graduating high school students. There are notable events that are sponsored by the Neepawa Legion, like special ceremonies to honor veterans, particularly on Remembrance Day, are organized to promote remembrance and recognition of military service. The Rolling Barrage stops here on their Cross Canada annual tour in support of veterans with PTSD. Collaboration with local schools and groups to educate youth about Canada's military history and the importance of remembrance is another area. A dart league meets regularly in the Legion and at times has live dart competitions. As well, it offers a place for a cribbage night. In the winter, on Tuesday afternoons, there is the opportunity for musicians to get together to practice their skills, often entertaining an audience. Cadet Number 9 Squadron is sponsored by the Neepawa Legion, providing youth with leadership training, discipline, and community involvement opportunities. They will purchase a flight simulator this fall. The Neepawa Legion supports community work through activities such as Friday meat draws, Chase the Ace, raffles, Christmas poinsettia sales, bonspiels, golf tournaments, poker tournaments, and trivia nights held to support their programs. It's easy to get involved with the Neepawa Legion. Membership is open to anyone who supports the Legion's values and goals. There are opportunities to volunteer in their various programs, as well as support and learn about the Legion's work. Financial contributions are always welcome to fund the Legion's community and support programs. For National Legion Week in Neepawa, the cadets will be laying a wreath at the cenotaph on Sunday, September 15th, and then on Friday there will be a street dance. Oh my gosh, I haven't heard of a street dance for years. On Friday, there will be a street dance with live music from 7 till 11 in front of the Legion. The Neepawa Legion plays a vital role in the community, providing a space for events, supporting various local initiatives, and fostering a sense of remembrance and respect for veterans. National Legion Week is an excellent opportunity to engage with and support the Legion's ongoing efforts. There we go. Oh, come on. Where is Agriculture by Cam Dahl from Manitoba Pork. This past January, the Government of Canada announced its Team Canada missions to the U.S. to promote Canadian exports in advance of the upcoming renegotiation of the Canada-U.S.-Mexico agreement called CUSMA, the former NAFTA. The missions to state legislatures and the United States government are a good thing, but something is lacking. I have heard little mention of cross-border trade in agriculture and food products when the Team Canada missions are discussed. Our federal government talks about securing trade vital to national security, but for some reason, agriculture and food seem not to be included in the national security bucket. This is despite the fact that agriculture and food is one of our largest export sectors, accounting for about $60 billion in exports to the U.S. annually. Canada is an exporting nation, and Manitoba is an exporting province. For example, 90% of the 8 million pigs raised in Manitoba every year are exported, either as packages of pork shipped around the world or as live animals exported to the United States. The international agricultural landscape is witnessing a troubling trend towards protectionism, and these exports are at risk. Manitoba's farmers and processors cannot afford market access restrictions and need our governments to aggressively fight for our interests. What protectionist headwinds are farmers facing in the U.S. marketplace? There are state-level regulations that reach beyond the borders of individual states, like Proposition 12 in California. Extraterritorial legislation by individual states fractures the integrated North American market for agriculture and food products, increases the price for consumers, and decreases the return for farmers. There is also a new country of origin labeling law from the U.S. Department of Agriculture that will discriminate against Canadian pigs and cattle exported to the U.S. again. This results in higher prices for consumers and lower returns for farmers. Canada needs to have a strategy to be more assertive in pushing back against these new trade barriers. New barriers to cross-border agriculture and food trade are appearing against the backdrop of the upcoming renegotiation of CUSMA. Canadian agriculture will almost certainly be a target, no matter who wins the U.S. elections this November. Canada needs to develop a comprehensive agriculture and food strategy as we approach the renegotiation of CUSMA. For starters, agriculture and food export interests should be included in outreach to state and national legislators. Agriculture should be part of Team Canada. Without a defined national strategy, developed in collaboration with farmers and processors, agriculture and food export interests may be overlooked or even traded off to protect other sectors when the CUSMA renegotiations take place. Farmers have a reason to be wary that their trade interests will not be of primary concern. For example, when the Government of Canada announced a 100% tariff on imports of China-made electric vehicles and a 25% duty on Chinese steel and aluminum, China quickly responded by initiating a dumping probe on canola exports. It is hard to object to the Government of Canada taking action to protect Canadian jobs from unfair trading practices. However, farmers should not carry the costs if retaliatory measures are taken. The Government of Canada has seen fit to offset the impact of trade agreements on other sectors of agriculture, and the same consideration should be given if our exports become political targets. This needs to be part of the comprehensive agriculture and food trade strategy. The Government of Manitoba also has a key role to play in protecting farmers' market access. Premier Wab Kinew recently created the Business and Jobs Council, which undertook a trade mission to the U.S. this spring. This is a positive step. However, our voice could be amplified both in Washington and Ottawa if there was a common agriculture trade strategy developed across the Prairie provinces. Collaboration across Western Canada on agriculture and food trade should extend beyond the U.S. For example, it would be a breakthrough in collaborative government if Manitoba were to work with the other prairie governments to establish a presence in key Asia-Pacific markets that are targeted for growth in agriculture trade from Western Canada. Farmers who rely on international markets face significant market access threats that will have substantial negative impacts on incomes, especially in Western Canadian provinces if we fail to act. There needs to be a concerted effort to develop a comprehensive agriculture and food trade strategy aimed at protecting the trade access we have today and breaking open new opportunities to offset protectionist threats. The development of this strategy must include farmers and processors, and it should include collaboration across provincial governments as well as the Government of Canada. Here we have a couple more pictures from the Beautiful Plains Museum history called Soddies. When the new settlers arrived to the prairies, they soon realized that this new country was not the paradise they envisioned. On the southern plains, the scarcity of trees and stones posed a major house building problem. Most of the settlers were short on finances and importing lumber was difficult. With grim determination, those settlers had to rely on the only building material that was on the land, prairie sod. Most soddies, as they were known, were built between the 1800s and World War I and replaced by wood frame houses as soon as the homesteader could afford the building materials. Sod is the top layer of earth that includes the grass, its roots, and the dirt clinging to the roots. Using a plow, furrows about 15 inches wide and 4 inches thick were cut. When the sod was cut, it was laid right away because if it dried out, it crumbled. The first layer was built by placing the sod grass side down and side by side to form the base. Like brick construction, the slabs of sod were laid with the joints staggered and corners overlapped. The slabs were placed lengthwise, making a wall 2 feet or more thick. At around 2 feet high, the spaces for a window and a door had the frames set in them, and rows of sod were continued around them. Pegs driven into the sod through holes in the frames held them in place. There were few windows in a sod home, as the holes would weaken the walls and the windows were expensive. At the top of the window frame, 2 layers of sod were left off and poles laid over the gap. The resulting gap, stuffed with grass or rags, protected the windows from breaking as the house settled. Wow. Once the walls were up, poplar poles or lumber were laid on top of the walls to hold the ridge pole and roof rafters. The roof was usually covered with 2 overlapping layers of tar paper, and then layers of sod were added to complete the roof. The average sod house took roughly 3,000 slabs of sod to build, or 1 acre of sod. Most sod houses were about 16 by 20 feet, with 1 room. Many homes were plastered with a mud solution and whitewashed to help the walls from leaking dirt and insects. Many had cellars dug under the house with a wood covering and a trap door to store food for the winter. There were disadvantages to these sod homes. When it rained, the roof leaked for several days afterwards. The pots on the stove had to always have their lids on them, or your soup was muddy. The advantages of sod homes were that they were cool in the summer and warm in the winter. Even in the middle of winter, water did not freeze in a sod house as did in most houses made of lumber. As well, being made of dirt made them virtually fireproof. So these are a couple of pictures right here. I don't know if they show up very well. Sod houses, or they called them soddies. That is so amazing. All right, on to the next article. It's called Bringing an Old Barbershop Vibe to Neepawa. This article is by Owen Devereaux. Cole Farquhar is hoping to make your next local barbershop experience a cut above the rest. Farquhar, who was raised in Neepawa, has recently returned home and established the Brick House Barbershop. Situated inside Venus Hair and Body Care at 341 Mountain Avenue, Farquhar is looking to provide a little bit of the classic barbershop experience with the techniques and skills connected to the modern styles and trends. Farquhar told the Banner and Press that while he has worked at barbershops in Brandon for the past few years, establishing his brand a little closer to home was always the end game. It's always been the goal of mine to start a shop here in Neepawa since I began cutting hair, said Farquhar. He said, as for how I got the opportunity here, I started going around town trying to find a vacant space to rent. But there wasn't really anything that would work for me starting out like this that was available. An opportunity here to rent a chair/space at Venus came around, and that's actually the best opportunity. I can skip the complicated business parts of establishing yourself and just focus on the clients, getting my name out there and building my reputation. Farquhar stated that it's been great collaborating with Venus Hair and Body Care, as they are well known and regarded locally, and that's been a very good way to introduce himself to the potential clients. As for the feedback from customers, so far it's been overwhelmingly positive, with the hot straight razor shaves being a favorite. Farquhar shared a story of one customer, a 90-year-old gentleman who hadn't had a hot towel and a shave for quite some time. He said the client was happy with getting another chance to experience it. Looking ahead, Farquhar noted that he sees a lot of potential for his business to grow in the Neepawa market. There is potential because this community has really grown over the last few years. We have a few barbers in town, but I think we're at the point where there's room for more. There's enough business around here for everyone, expressed Farquhar. I want to be the type of option out there for young people, maybe looking for the more modern styles that are still done in an old school sort of way. You can reach Cole at Brick House Barbershop by calling or texting 431-541-8590. And here we have a picture of Cole cutting somebody's hair. Here's another Broadfoot Fraser moves into new location by Ken Waddell. After opening an office in Neepawa 5.5 years ago, Broadfoot Fraser Agencies has moved to a new downtown location. The insurance firm has entered into a joint tenancy agreement with the Christensen TDS law firm to better utilize a recently renovated office space in the Kinley Thompson block, actually the McCaffrey block, across from Canada Safeway. Dwight Kinley of Broadfoot Fraser Agencies said, "It's a positive move as it helps both firms." The downtown location has a high traffic flow, and with both a law firm and an insurance agency in the same office, there will be a mutual benefit. Kinley said their business at Neepawa and Gladstone has grown considerably since the move to a Neepawa location. We get a lot of customers from north of Neepawa and the whole community, and we are thankful for the support. Sophie Collier of Christensen TDS said, "I am excited and looking forward to being in the same office as Broadfoot Fraser Agencies. I am regularly in Neepawa on Wednesdays, and now I can be reached more readily Monday to Friday. I enjoy the general law practice and being able to help people." Collier is part of a 5-lawyer team that serves Neepawa, Portage, McGregor, and Gladstone. Now look at this funny picture. It's entitled, "What a Happy Little Tomato." This little tomato man has to be one of the best tomato figures ever seen. The proud owner was showing it off at Cafe 37 in Kelwood recently. The painted face makes for a picture of perfect happiness. It's almost surreal. Neepawa group to host first local pride celebration by Casper Warehouse. Neepawa will be welcoming another first to its long, rich history this weekend. On Sunday, September 15th, the grounds of Arts Forward will be host to the inaugural Neepawa's Got Pride event. This event is open to the public and has been organized by Neepawa and Area Pride, a group formed this year which welcomes LGBT plus individuals and allies. Neepawa's Got Pride will take place from 1 o'clock to 4 p.m. with a variety of activities featured for all to enjoy as a way to celebrate Pride, an annual occasion for the LGBT plus community, which is typically marked in June. At this event, we're really just opening it up to everyone who wants to come, said Rianne Beaver, president of Neepawa and Area Pride. Like any Pride event, it's family friendly, it's open to the public, and we're asking our family, our friends, our allies to come out and celebrate with us and help keep or get the momentum going in Neepawa, because I think we're seeing that little bit of a shift here. A portion of the events includes a free barbecue with hot dogs, drinks, and cake. There will also be Filipino barbecue done by the local Bagari or Filipino LGBT+. We're so lucky to have the diversity of the Filipino community, and that's such a huge part of the celebration is food, said Beaver. The afternoon will feature activities such as button making, face and rock painting, a presentation from former Neepawa resident Veronica Jingles, booths from organizations such as SERC, which stands for Sexuality Education Resource Center, Manitoba. There will also be Westman Empowerment, the Neepawa Library, a free movie, which is called Breakfast with Scott, at the Roxy at 4:30 p.m., and music from a live DJ and some drag performances. We have 2 local drag queens, MX Dion and Milkita, and then we have the drag mother out of House of Hex, Flora Hex, coming to do a number. This whole event will be held outside on the Arts Forward grounds so that it's visible and not put behind closed doors, and that anybody can be a part of it if they so choose. For those unfamiliar, drag is a performance art with an extensive history and is an important part of LGBT plus history. In drag, individuals dress up in expressive ways and typically put forward an embellished appearance and use a stage name or persona. Drag queens in this instance are people, often men, who portray a feminine persona. If you speak to a drag artist, it is a way to express themselves and to kind of come about finding themselves, I think, a lot of the time. It's just about being in that safe place and being able to do something that they truly love. And a lot of them will say it's truly freeing, said Beaver. As a spectator to that, it's absolutely fantastic to watch, because the happiness that these individuals exude, it can be contagious. So I think we're really fortunate to have drag coming to Neepawa in this sort of setting. With Neepawa's Got Pride arriving in just a couple of days, Beaver shared that Neepawa and Area Pride is excited to host the event for the first time. It's almost surreal to think that we're doing this as quickly as we are, but I think the need is there. We anticipate our allies, friends, and families will be right there alongside us, as they always have been, and this is our outward way of showing exactly that, said Beaver, and making Pride very visible in Neepawa for anyone who may need this activity, for ourselves who are out and visible in the community. It's important for us to know the support is there within Neepawa and area, and that we're all committed to working toward an environment that is inclusive and diverse like it is. Beaver also shared from a personal perspective that as to why Pride events such as this are so important. She said, I have 2 young kids with my partner, And my family to us is not different. It's just a different variation of what a family can be. So events like these allow families like ours to be just like everybody else around us. There's a comfort there. It's a freeing moment. It's knowing that you are on the right path, I guess you could say, as are my kids. They are going to meet roadblocks on the way where they're told they're different. Their family is different. Where they come from is different. Beaver added, but the reality is they're not. Everyone just has a different story, and that is exactly who you are supposed to be. So the more that we expose ourselves, and in my case, my children, to events like Pride, they realize that they are not alone in this world, that we're never by ourselves, and there are other people out there that are like us and will love us unconditionally, no matter what the difference may be. In her closing comments, Beaver stated that Pride and Area Pride is looking forward to the day, but also to the future. She said, I think it's important to note that all of this is not possible without the sponsors that we've had come forward and willing to support us in this endeavor. This is the first step to bring Pride to Neepawa, and we really look forward to having it kick off, but also being able to do more things like this in the future. So this is a picture of Arts Forward building where Neepawa's Got Pride will be held this Sunday, September 15th. Now, coming up at the Roxy Theatre on September 22nd at 7 p.m. is a presentation called Yeehaw. This is a Canadian fiddle champion, Scott Woods. It's reminiscent of the iconic TV show Experience the best in country music, trick fiddling, award-winning step dancing, humor, and so much more. Tickets and full tour schedule are available by calling the Scott Woods Band office toll-free at 1-855-726-8896 or online at www.scottwoods.ca. Locally, tickets will be available cash only at the Neepawa Banner and Press. Now for sports. Portage La Prairie duo win the 2024 Sunflower Classic by Owen Devereaux. For the second time in the last 4 years, the team of Lindsay Jordan and Aaron McCartney of Portage La Prairie are the winners of the Neepawa Golf and Country Club's Sunflower Classic. The pair, who are members of the Portage Golf Club, also won the 2021 event, which is played each year under the net Stableford scoring format. Stableford consists of players scoring 1 point for a bogey, 2 for par, 3 for a birdie, 4 for an eagle, and 5 for an albatross. The team with the fewest accumulated points after 18 holes wins. Jordan and McCartney's 72 points had them tied with Carla Richardson and Carolyn Hardy, though they won by the count-back system of tiebreaker. In their 4 years of competing at the Sunflower Classic, Jordan and McCartney have quickly established themselves as a team to look out for. To go along with their 2 victories, they also finished in second place last year and third overall in 2022. After the event, they told the Banner and Press that the Sunflower Classic has quickly become a favorite event to attend. It's a fantastic tournament and we really enjoy it. The ladies' 2-ball is a really fun concept, said Jordan. McCartney added that the Neepawa golf course is beautiful and challenging in all the ways you want it to be. You have to think out there, and it really plays to both of our strengths. So, in the hole prizes, hole number 1 for the straightest drive, Irene Martineau won. Hole number 3 for the longest putt, Laura Lee Harris, 24 feet 2 inches. Hole number 4, closest to the pin, Lindsay Jordan, 29 inches. Hole number 8, closest to the pin, Stacy Popian, 4 feet 3 inches. Hole number 10, longest drive, Lindsay Jordan. Hole number 12, closest to the pin, Pam Lewandowski, 2 feet 3 inches. Hole number 16, longest putt, Bev Davey, 13 feet 9 inches. Hole number 18, closest to the pin, Janice Meadows, 2 feet. And then for the championship flight, first place, Lindsay Jordan and Erin McCartney at 72 with a count back. Second place, Carla Richardson and Carolyn Hardy at 72. Third place, Dina Susky and Marcia Friesen at 75. In the first flight, first came Rhonda Williams and Brenda Linsky at 83 on a count back. Second, Laura Duffield and Mary Lou Hunter, 83. And third place, Suzanne Nicholson and Kat Dernan at 83. For the second flight, in first place, Donna Stevenson and Pat Davidson, 93 with the count back. Second place, Eileen Trott and Janice Goldade at 93. Third place, Donna Lewis and Bev Sparks at 93. Now, in the MJHL preseason, these are the Neepawa Titans results. On Thursday, September 5th, Dauphin beat Neepawa 4-3 in overtime. On Friday, September 6th, Neepawa beat Weiwei Sikapo Wolverines 3-1. The next day, on September 7th, Neepawa beat Weiwei 6-4. On Sunday, September 8th, Neepawa beat Dauphin 3-2. And last night, which was Wednesday, September 11th, Portage beat Neepawa 4-3. Okay. Now this is some farming. Oh, and there was some dates coming up too for the Neepawa Titans. At the Yellowhead Center, September 24th, Winkler will be in town at a 7:30 p.m. start. Then on September 27th at the Yellowhead Center, also at 7:30 p.m., the Titans will be playing Dauphin. Now, a couple of more agriculture articles. Ammoniating forages improves feed quality by Sean Kabak. Producers faced with the problem of storing high moisture feed or wanting to improve the feed value of low quality forages should consider ammoniation. Ammonia, NH3, which contains nitrogen, increases the crude protein content and improves the energy by breaking down the poorly digested fiber of mature forages. Ammonia also acts as a preservative of higher moisture feeds by destroying molds and bacteria during the ammoniation process. Percent moisture in the roughage, the time of ammoniation, temperature, and the amount of anhydrous ammonia applied are the key factors affecting forage response to the ammoniation process. When using ammonia to improve the protein content of low-quality forages, it should be added at 3 to 5% of the dry matter weight. As a preservative for high-moisture forage, the ammonia level can be decreased to 2%. Temperature determines the speed at which the reaction between ammonia and the feedstuff occurs, as well as the extent of improved digestibility. The application of ammonia provides these advantages. Number 1, increased forage digestibility by 10 to 30%. Number 2, increased forage intake by 10 to 20%. And number 3, increased crude protein content, 85 to 125% in past Manitoba Ag trials when NH3 injected at 3%. Forage ammoniation workshop, October 9th at 1:30 p.m. at MBFI. Attend a forage ammoniation workshop to learn how to improve the quality of poor value forages to better feed your cattle. Watch an in-field demonstration on how to properly ammoniate low-quality forages to improve your winter feed supplies. The workshop will be held from 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. at the Manitoba Beef and Forage Initiative at their site north of Brandon. The location is half a mile east of the junction of number 10 highways and Highway 353. Topics to be covered during the workshop include the safe handling of anhydrous ammonia, the economics of alternative feeds, the pros and cons of ammoniating forages, how much will the feed improve, and from 0 to 82, all you need to know on how to set up to ammoniate, stacking, covering, and injecting. Also by Sean Kabak, stocks of Canadian crops. Total stocks of canola and barley were up as of July the 31st, compared with the same date a year earlier. Stocks of wheat, oats, dry peas, and lentils were down. Total stocks of wheat fell 18.5% year over year to 4.6 million tons as of July 31st. The decline was partially due to lower total national supply. Commercial stocks rose 39.7% to 3.8 million tons, while on-farm stocks fell. Exports of wheat fell 1.2% to 25.2 million tons, but remained above the 5-year average for this period. Total stocks of canola increased 66.9% year over year to 3.1 million tons as of July 31st on higher commercial stocks. On-farm stocks fell 7.7% to 775,000 tons. Total domestic disappearance of canola, mostly for crushing, increased 8.1% to a record 11.5 million tons, likely in response to increased demand for renewable energy. Higher domestic disappearance was more than offset by lower exports of canola. Total stocks of dry peas fell 36.7% year over year to 348,000 tons as of July 31st. Stocks of lentils totaled 179,000 tons, down 15.2% from the same date in 2023. Here we have a couple of pictures from Old Canada, 1950s at Riding Mountain National Park. Pictured here are some scenes dating sometime in the 1950s. Here, this pair of individuals were taking the scenery from high on up. And here, people enjoying lakeside views, activities, and in-water activities. A long-standing staple for Riding Mountain National Park. And another beautiful Plains Museum history. This one is about prosthesis by Casper Werhahn. According to the National Library of Medicine magazine entitled Medline Plus, the presence of prostheses began quite early. These early prosthetics were uncomfortable to wear, but may have helped people return to work or simply feel accepted in their daily lives. It is also unknown if the first prosthetics were functional or purely for appearance. The oldest known prosthetics were not full limbs, rather they were two different artificial toes originating from ancient Egypt. The first is the Grayville Chester toe, which was made from cartonnage, which is a material similar to paper mache that's made from glue, linen, and plaster. It is thought to be between 2,600 and 3,400 years old. This toe does not bend and thus is theorized to have been for cosmetic purposes. The second toe is known as the Cairo toe and is estimated to be between 2,700 and 3,000 years old. This toe was flexible and was refitted for the wearer multiple times. This positions it to be the earliest known practical prosthetic. In about 300 BC in Italy, an ancient Roman nobleman used a prosthetic that has been dubbed the cape leg. This leg was made of bronze and hollowed out wood and was held up with leather straps. Many other prosthetics came about, such as a wood and an aluminum prosthetic arm invented by William Robert Grossmith in the mid-19th century. Some advances in prosthetics came about due to war, which resulted in record numbers of amputees. With these advances, prosthetics slowly became less painful for amputees to wear. The prosthetics of the old days are certainly a far cry from today's. Nowadays, prosthetics are better fitting, more practical, and have even been specifically adapted to use in sporting activities. However, accessibility of these aid devices, especially to those that are high functioning, may still be an issue due to factors such as high cost. According to another article by MedPlus and supported by Britannica Encyclopedia, the first recorded use of a self-propelled chair dates to approximately 1655. This was when a disabled German watchmaker, Stephen Farmer, made a three-wheeled chair which could be propelled using a rotary handle on the front wheel. Around the same time, another German man named Johann Hoch, an inventor and a mechanic, also developed a series of rolling chairs. At this time, these chairs were designed as a means of transport primarily for the wealthy, but in the 18th century, wheelchairs began to appear in surgical and medical catalogs. These were advertised in these catalogs as transport vehicles for patients. These were similar to armchairs in style and were made of wood, wicker, or iron, with large wheels at the front and one caster at the rear for balance. These are described as being ornate, heavy, and cumbersome. Folding wheelchairs would not be developed until the 20th century, and push rim activated power assisted wheelchairs wouldn't be developed until the 21st century. So here we have some pictures at the museum's medical exhibit. These include child's crutches, an antique wheelchair, a wooden prosthetic, an anesthetic machine, and a nurse's cap. The Burton Family Cairn by Ken Waddell. The Burton family has been in the Kelwood area for a long time, 100 years to be exact, and this summer Ellery Burton and some helpers built a cairn on the family farm north of Kelwood to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the family farm and Jeff Burton's 90th birthday. The cairn is made from area rocks, some of the bricks from the old farmhouse chimney, and the cross on the cairn is made from wood from the house. The inscription says, "In honor of the Burton family members that broke this land, fought for their country, and raised their neighbors." Established in 1923. Here's some of that brick. All right, so we have a little bit of time left, not a whole lot. So I'll read Homebodies by Rita Friesen. This week her article is entitled Flights of Fancy. If I could be a tree, I would be an oak. The bur oak is fairly common to Manitoba, and they played a part in my early years. Thin and straight, they made wonderful fence posts, not needing to be pre-treated to last a long time. Farm folks will know what I mean when I say that an oak post promoted expletives on a grand scale. More than once, a carefully positioned staple would sprung away when hit by the hammer. An oak log on the fire last thing at night guaranteed glowing coals in the morning, an easy start to the morning's warmth. I wondered a bit about my affinity with the oak, so did a bit of research. There had to be more than fence posts, wonderful heating fuel, and the perfect tree for a swing. I had already assessed the similarity in our shared ability to produce nuts. The oak tree is a symbol of strength. It is slow growing, but grows to be a large tree, providing plenty of shade and a safe place for birds to nest. Converted to timber, it is strong, hard, and durable. Used to make wine barrels, the oak adds distinctive flavor and scent. So strong, slow growing, productive, and nurturing, I'm still on board if we include mental and spiritual growth rather than physical. An interesting fact, about a third of the species is threatened with extinction due to climate change, pests, and habitat loss. Translate that as my peers and I being threatened with aging, and we have another match. Oak trees survive transplanting, grow well in cities for they can tolerate air pollution and thrive in various growing conditions. Yep, I've been moved more than once, and I've been planted in a variety of growing conditions, and I'm still going strong. Our deep roots tolerate drought, and I've gone through a few of those. Our thick bark allows us to survive forest fires. I am deep-rooted and thick-skinned. When I look at the facts, I can see why the oak tree, even the common bur oak, is the tree I would want to be. So, which trees are culled? Did I look at my options? Well, I've grown up with the Manitoba maple, and it is fast growing, but a tad too careless for my liking. A tad too careless in that the branches and limbs stretch way beyond their means, bending low to the earth and only to turn and once again reach for the sky. They are also very prolific. Those airborne seeds are a wonder to behold in flight. And if you miss one taking root in your raspberry patch, as an example, it very quickly establishes dominance. There are so many seeds. I admire birch trees. Admire, but don't wish to be one. They often grow in clusters, and I see a gaggle of girls giggling and sharing secrets. The birch wood is also wonderfully hot and clean when burning in a furnace or stove or campfire. They don't have the staying power of the oak. After analyzing other trees and analyzing many other trees, I will stick with wanting to be an oak. Tips for Teachers, Part 2, Faithfully Yours. 2,000 years ago, in one of the many private conversations Jesus had with his disciples, he spoke of the influence teachers can have on those they teach. Students, he said, when they are fully taught, will be just like their teachers. See Luke 6, verses 39 to 42. Those words challenge teachers to do their best and adhere to the highest possible standards of morality and integrity in the classroom and in their interactions with students outside the classroom. Our communities are blessed with teachers who work hard to meet the standards set by this challenge. I pray that their efforts will succeed. But these words also contain a warning, a famous quote attributed to Greek philosopher Aristotle. Give me a child until he is 7, and I will show you the man. Oh. His words have not been ignored. Organizations and entities of all types believe that if they can fill a child's mind with their ideas, philosophies, and beliefs, or if they can win a child's loyalty to their brands or products, they will have a devoted follower and loyal customer for life. At different times in human history, authoritarian regimes have used the school system, especially early childhood classes, to indoctrinate children to such an extreme that they will renounce allegiances to family, community, and traditional religious beliefs and swear total allegiance to the state and its lawyer. That is why throughout their time in elementary, middle, and high school, students need to be taught the value of critical thinking. Wikipedia defines critical thinking as the analysis of available facts that enable a person to form a judgment based on rationale. In an address to Christian leaders given many years ago, the late Dr. Howard Hendricks said that in his view, Christian leaders need to stop answering so many questions for the people and urge them to start questioning more answers. I agree wholeheartedly with that statement. We need to teach our children the importance of finding their own answers to some of life's questions. We need to show them where to find the best information available and how to discern fact from opinion. Then we can show them how to use the facts that they find to discern answers that will be very difficult for others to refute. This is especially important when dealing with online material, where just about anyone can post just about anything about any subject and make their assumptions appear to be irrefutable truth. The critical thinking I've just described takes time to develop. Teachers are a vital part of the process. A teacher's task is simple. Just ask students if they have facts to support any extreme statements they make. If they don't, show them how to fact-check their statements so they can share their views in a manner that respects those who may not agree with them. This country desperately needs leaders who will tell people the truth, not the truth they want us to hear, and not the truth they think we want to hear, but the truth we need to hear to save our lives, to save our economy and our country and our world. Speaking this truth is a trait that must be learned, and there is no better place to learn it than in a school classroom, guided by a devoted teacher. Good luck in the coming year. Let the learning and critical thinking begin. So that's all the time we have this week for the reading of the Neepawa Banner and Press. So thank you for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you next time. So bye for now.